Welcome to Overflow the podcast, formerly the In This Together podcast. Still hosted by Maya, me, now joined by Blakely.
We're inviting you into real, honest conversations with guests like Chance and Isla.
And friends, all about life, faith,
health, relationships, and more. It's not about having it all together.
It's about letting God lead. By His grace,
not ours, our cups overflow, even in the wild and barren places, just like Psalm 23 promises.
So grab your laundry basket, start your walk, or just take a breather.
We're so glad you're here.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Overflow podcast. I am so happy to be in this room. It has been a long adventure to get in this room and get to just record these, but I am so excited. I got to fly in last night from Pennsylvania, and God, let me tell you, He worked miracles to be here.
Yes,
and
He did.
We are just so excited because we have so many fun topics that we're going to be talking about today. But if you saw the title of this, you saw that we are going to be talking about our part 2 of social media. So we've actually filmed this a little bit ago, and now we're back refreshed like a month or so later.
Yeah.
And what did we talk about then, and what are we going to be talking about a little bit now?
So, welcome back to the Overflow podcast. Maya did have a crazy journey
Yes.
getting here.
No luggage, but that's okay. Almost left Atlanta Airport, changed my destination twice, but we are
We love
here.
it.
Yeah.
The podcast prevails.
Yes.
No, guys, we are so happy you're here. We, on the last episode, talked a lot about just our relationship with social media and kind of just the realities of where we're at with it. And Maya and I both hit a point very recently, maybe 2 months ago, kind of at the beginning of summer, where we were like, oh my goodness, our relationship with social media has gotten so toxic, largely because we work on social media. So that definitely has played a role, but also just the byproduct of, for the last 10 plus years, kind of forming an addiction to it. And so that last episode was really just addressing the addiction that has been created from just years and years of constantly being on it. And plus now with our jobs, it's even worse. Mm-hmm. And so we talk a lot about just how numb we've gotten to the role social media is playing in our lives and just the destruction that can come with it, but also how amazing it can be. And so really the heart of this second episode is addressing tips that we have, that we want to implement in our lives, and things that we really want to do to not only just have the conversation of where we're at with social media, but to be like, okay, we're really big about practicals on here. And so we're like, we need to create a part 2 that is not only for them, but also for us, of just steps that we can take moving forward to have a healthier relationship with social media. Yeah. So if you have not listened to part 1, go back, listen to part 1, because listening to part 2 really just, you won't get as much out of it. Go back, listen to part 1, join us for part 2. And if you have already listened to part 1, we're so excited for you to get to be a part of part 2.
Yeah. Honestly, like our part 1 was us kind of exposing ourselves, like kind of
really
us bringing our darkness to the light and just being like, hey, we are on it for way too much. Hey, this, and like kind of exposing all those different parts of
Our
us.
screen time.
I think it's our screen time. And I think it's been kind of cool, and why I kind of love that God put on our heart to do like a month is that we've actually, the things that we're going to be talking about this episode, it's not like, oh, this is good ideas. Like
so true.
That we researched and like, this is going to help us. Like we've actually this past month been like walking this out, and we're going to be sharing things that have actually helped us or not helped us, or just like the reality of it. And so I think that's what kind of makes this episode unique. And so if you're somebody who you're like, that kind of brings us to like our first point, and you're like, maybe you didn't listen to episode 1, or maybe you're here and you're like, I actually haven't really taken inventory of like what social media and my relationship with it is. I think now is such a good time. We kind of want to like just put this as our first point, is actually take the time, take this like little moment, pause it if you need to take inventory of like, where is your relationship? The first step in anything is like, in addressing a problem, is realizing that you have a problem,
and we have a problem.
Yeah, we had a problem. And I think that that's something that that we almost get embarrassed and we don't want to say. We were like, oh, like I don't really want to say that like I have a problem with this, because of 1, it makes me feel weak, or 2, it's like, well, everyone's doing it, but I think
especially as Christians.
Yeah. And so I think really realizing, and especially when you do see the platform as something where okay, this can be used for so much good. It's hard to like want to say, oh yeah, we can use it for so much good, but then there's also this other aspect of it. And so we really just want to encourage you this first, before we kind of get into it and before we share our practicalities, like our first step was really taking inventory of what our relationship looked like with social media. And we both want to encourage you to do that same thing. Like, how much are you on it? Like, how much, like, and just be honest with yourself. Like, you don't need to send it or DM it to us. If you want to, you can for accountability, but just really think like, okay, how much am I kind of on social media? Like, how much, when even I think about it, it's like when I am at a stoplight, am I going and I'm grabbing my phone? Am I, in the bathroom
Guilty.
and I bring my phone. Whoa. Guilty. Like, kind of just taking inventory and being like, where am I with this? And what is it doing, in my relationships, with myself, like my self-talk? Am I facing a lot of comparison? Maybe some of you, I really believe if you are struggling a lot with comparison right now, one of my questions would be is like, how much are you on social media? Because that's just such a breeding ground. And if you're not on it, if you're not putting healthy boundaries and having a healthy mindset, it can just get so easy to get confused. And so we just really want to encourage you to just take inventory of where you're at. Just also for some people, and we're going to kind of get into this in a second, but for some people, when you take inventory and you hear this episode and there's different things of us getting back on social media, I think this is a great time for you to ask God, am I going to be getting back on social media? Do I need to take time off of social media? Like, before you're listening to all of our thoughts, ask the Lord and be like, God, where am I with this? And what do you want for me? Like, at the end of the day, Blakely and I are not God. And it's so important to ask him.
No, we are not.
Yeah, we are not. And we don't have like this word from the Holy Spirit of you should do this and whatnot. Like, that's between you and God. But how often do we actually ask God, hey, Lord, like, I'm on this app a lot. I'm doing this and it's taking up so much of my time. God, what do you want me to be doing instead? God, how do you want me to use my social media? Oh my gosh, what a question. Like, what a question. Some of us have never like asked that before. And I know that there's been times where I haven't asked that before and haven't been walking in that. And so I think that as you're taking inventory of yourself, also just taking a time and a second to pray and be like, God, what do you want me? What does this season look like with social media? Because how Blakely and I, are still continuing to use it, and you'll kind of see the parameters there. I know so many people who have gotten off of it for months, for a year. I know so many people who are not on social media at all because they're just like, that's just not where I'm meant to be. And I'm like, that is so awesome. But that came from their own personal conviction. So don't take this as don't take this as your personal conviction. I think really pray about that and ask the Lord. And I know it sounds so silly, but it's so cool. Like, think about all the time that we're on it. And if that time could be used for something else that God wants you to do, maybe that's the breakthrough you kind of need to be able to be obedient and continue walking. You're like, oh, I have this amazing idea God's given me, but I don't have the time. And maybe God's like, well, like, let's take away the phone for a little bit, for a season, or maybe for the rest of your life. I don't know. I think that'll be really cool. And so we're not going to just fly past this point. If that is you, take a second and pause and just have that inventory time, take that time to pray with the Lord, and then come back to this later.
So if you've taken the inventory and you're realizing, okay, I just don't, and what we mean by that when you pray and you're like, Lord, reveal to me what this should look like and what my relationship with social media should look like in this season, that's not necessarily God writing out in the sky, take time off. I think sometimes we always expect God, when we when we come on here and say stuff like this, I know you might be listening, you're like, well, what do you mean? Like, God's just going to tell me. Yeah. And essentially what we mean by that is, for both of us, when we pray and ask that question and just wait on God to respond, it's not that he writes it out necessarily. It's just that we feel in our souls and in our hearts just a peace that leads us away from social media, or a peace that leads us towards it, but maybe is still nudging us, even if we're going towards it, to implement just better boundaries with it. And so Maya and I both fall on the latter. We obviously work in social media. We have no ability to be off of social media on a weekly basis. And it's not something that we can just say, okay, I want to get off of it forever. We could technically get off of our personal accounts, but that's just not the conviction either of myself. That's just not the conviction that either of us have. And so that leads us into point number 2, which for us, we have felt like a solution that, not a solution's the wrong word to use, but something that has really benefited us even in the past month and a half since we recorded the last episode, is just finding a day to completely get off of social media. This is something I am working towards. I had a day actually recently where I was completely off of my phone, which had a lot of good effects, but also a lot of bad, which maybe bad's not the right word, but it really opened my eyes to just the struggle I have with getting off of social media. But also in the past month, I've had a lot of the days where I'm trying to get off of social media and I've realized, oh wait, I need to like post this post because a client needs to be posted today. And for me, that's just convicting because I could better prepare for the days off. So it's definitely been an interesting month trying to navigate what that day off looks like. But it has been the most life-changing thing, even just throughout the week, knowing, oh my gosh, I get to have a day where I'm fully off of this, and just the joy that has come from me taking a step back. And even I had a day like 2 weeks ago where I literally put my phone up and it was like 6 hours of the day, but I like completely just put it up and I was completely off of it. And it was so cool, even just seeing how little by little I take Sunday off, and over the past month, each Sunday has gotten easier to be off of it. But in the beginning, it definitely was really, really tough because we were talking about this. We get off of it and we're like, well, what do we do now? I don't know how to be bored. And I've realized I have a really hard time just being bored. And it's been very eye-opening and interesting to navigate. And it's just something that has presented a whole other web of issues, which we'll get into later. But have you implemented a day off? And if so, what has that looked like? What day are you taking off?
Good question. I think that's, and for a lot of you listening, you're probably not a social media manager. So like your like actual thought of how to take a day off probably doesn't have to go as deep as ours, because ours, we're posting for clients. We have some clients that we post for every single day or like on the weekends. And so we're always kind of thinking about like, okay, we need to post next. And so if you're a social media manager, hopefully this helps you. But then also if you kind of have a personal account, this might not be as hard, but the same principle applies of like taking like a time and like a day off. And this has been so much fun for me. It's been hard, kind of like you said, like I've noticed one, and maybe not for everyone, but for us, it's taken a lot more like preparation where I'm like, okay, I actually don't want to work Sunday. I'm the same way. I try not to work Sunday, or sometimes Monday if chances like off of baseball. And so I'll kind of be like, okay, what do I need to get done ahead of time so that way I don't have to be on social media? You know, like if you're working on it or whatnot. And for a lot of you might not even have to really prepare. It's just like this cognitive ability to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to take Sunday off my phone. I'm going to actually disconnect from the rest of the world. I'm going to kind of disconnect from like all, like social media and different things, and just focus on like where I'm at. Like I've just found it to be so, on those Sundays that I've been able to just like disconnect from my phone, I'm like, man, I'm like, this is so nice. I just feel like I'm actually present in where I'm at. And I'm like, I look outside and I'm like, oh man, I'm here. I'm in Pennsylvania. You know, like it's just a deeper, like just kind of like gratitude. And I feel like more grounded, I guess, if that makes sense. And I think and it also allows me to be so much more present with my husband. Like, you know, rather than us sitting in bed and scrolling next to each other, which is a reality. Like instead I'm like, okay, I'm putting this up, and we just sit and we just turn our heads to our pillows and we talk, you know? I mean, like that's what
pillow talk.
Yeah, pillow talk. No. Dad, if you're watching, I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. My dad does watch the podcast. But it's like, those are the things that, it's so funny because those are the things that you're so excited about, like when you first get married, or like whenever you're like, oh my gosh, like I get to like talk and have a sleepover with somebody every single night. And then it's like whenever you kind of get in routine and whatnot, and you get in rhythm, and then you kind of also are distracted by your phone, it's just so easy to miss. And it's not that our phones and social media are bad, but it just does distract us. Like there's this very real, you can't be all the way present, you know, in this, and all the way present in the conversation around you and what's happening around you. And so I feel like my day off has just been such a great time that I look forward to, like you, where I'm like, okay, I prepared for this. And then I'm like, okay, I actually feel like just so content with like where I'm at. Or it also allows me to have time where if I'm discontent where I'm at, like I've had times where I'll go in and I'll sit and I'll journal during that time that I would have rather been on my phone, and I'm realizing like you're down bad. Like your thoughts are not good right now. Like you're struggling with some things, but if I would have been on my phone, I would have just been so distracted and maybe just let it go on another day. So I'm excited to kind of share what I do in that other time. But I think that kind of leads us to this idea that you were kind of talking about earlier is, okay, and we talked about this a lot in the first podcast of just that feeling of, okay, I'm off my phone now. I had taken the day off. I'm, not on it when I go to the bathroom. I'm not on it whenever I go and I'm doing, like I'm walking around the house or whatever it is. So what do I do now?
Great question. And before you get into this, I'm just going to say it is so much easier for me. And I know we've talked about this for you also. And I think we talked about this in the first episode as well. When you're around a ton of people, it's super easy to be off of social media. Yeah. Like this conversation is more so targeting when you're off of it and you are by yourself, or you are just with your husband or your boyfriend and you're like, I don't know how to be bored. And so this conversation is a lot easier to have when there's a lot going on in life, when you're traveling, when there's other things to turn your mind to. But when there isn't a ton of things to turn your mind to, this conversation is more for how can I truly rest? How can I fill that empty time that I would just fill with being on social media? And so I just wanted to add that before we go on, because we've both realized, oh wait, this is honestly really easy for us to be off of social media when we're on a trip or when we're doing X, Y, Z. But when we are just doing normal mundane life, how do we have healthier boundaries with this, and what do we do instead?
Love that so much. Oh, you want me to kick this off?
Yeah.
All right. Oh man. What do we do with that time? If you're like me, my brain, I get decision paralysis. So it's like I have so many different ideas of what I can do with the time that then I don't make a decision at all. That's like a very real thing. Like I'm like, okay, I could read a book. I could, I could read my Bible. I could, go outside for a walk. I could go run. I could do this. I can go bathe, strike. Like, I'm like thinking of all these different things that like I actually will just sometimes just sit there and I feel so overwhelmed and I don't do anything. And so, but what I have learned is just to like on those Sundays, now that I know that I have like this dedicated day off, I actually get excited of like, okay, what can I do? And even I say this in like, if you're taking the full day off, but then there's also, I want to encourage you of finding hobbies, not only for your day off, but also for that weird little mundane time, if that makes sense. Like the weird little mundane time when you're going to bed, and you kind of like put your phone up or whatnot. It's like, what are you doing in that time? And I think there's like actually this ability to kind of get a hobby or, use your imagination and like play a game, or I don't know, something that I've really enjoyed. I would guess I'll just kind of share mine, because I think that was the biggest shock is whenever you get off your phone, you realize like, oh my gosh, I have so much time and I kind of don't know what to do. And so it's been such a fun thing for me, because I'm like, oh wait, now that I've done this, I have the ability now to do these other things. And it kind of goes back to what you're talking about earlier when you're talking about like, okay, God, like, how do I know like how much time to spend on social media? An encouragement too, I would like kind of add in there is, are there a lot of things that God's like put on your heart or pressed on your heart that if you took away social media, you'd be able to do? Wow. Like if that's it, then that's like your answer, then take away some social media. Like, so like how you said, you're not going to see all the answers in the sky. And so that's kind of what I found. Like I've always had like little ideas of, I love to like do art and I love to just craft. And so I think for me, it's just opened up the time for me to do little hobbies. And I even have like this little watercolor like paper pad that I'll just kind of like draw quotes on and just kind of have like fun with. And I don't like share it with anybody. Like they just kind of have a stack in my room, but it's enjoyable for me. And I would say that I've enjoyed just kind of like crafting, hobbying, and just like the freedom, but then also in those like mundane moments, I've really enjoyed reading. I love my Kindle. I don't know why a Kindle like changed the game for me. It made it just so much easier for me to pick up, and I just will sit there and I'll read, and I love it. I love it like right before bed. So anyways, I feel like I've just learned of like, okay, what else can I like do rather than just sit on my phone. And honestly, it's made my house a lot cleaner because rather than like just sitting and scrolling and kind of like avoiding things, I've like actually I'll put on like a podcast, or I'll put on worship, or I'll put on a TV show and I will listen to it while I'm cleaning, and I'm just kind of like enjoying myself. And I know that some people are going to call me crazy for this, I sit in silence my thoughts. Like, I know that sounds...
You're crazy.
Yeah, I'm crazy for that. One of my best friends, Cade Farney, you know her? Yeah. She would drive from Tallahassee to here 2.5 hours with no music. Like,
I love that.
Just sits in her thoughts. And it, like, she enjoyed it. We would always be like, why do you not listen to music? And she's like, I just don't really need it. Like, I don't really need that entertainment. Like, I'm just enjoying myself. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I love some music. But I also have, like, enjoyed getting to process my own thoughts. I think that's why I love car rides, because if I can talk, like I can think. So obviously right now you see my brain is going with all the different thoughts of things I can do. But what's fun is like I actually am starting to do them, and I get excited when I talk about it because I'm actually enjoying things. Like I'm actually excited about, you know, getting to read my Kindle, and it's kind of been cool. I would say like over what I've seen in this past month is, I would say at first I realized it was hard to put my phone down at night, but as I've continued to do it, I've actually started to enjoy it more. Like where it's felt like almost a release, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like it actually doesn't feel like a chore. So I just want to encourage somebody who it's like, maybe you're in that first week, or maybe like you're about to step into like your first week of kind of just getting off of your phone and social media a little bit more. It might be a little bit hard at first. And you might feel like, okay, I'm just being obedient right now, even though I don't want to, but it's kind of cool because while you start to find your hobbies and you start to, you know, get into a good book, or you start to enjoy drawing, it just becomes easier and easier to the point where I'll just like leave my phone. If I don't have to work, I'll leave it for an hour or two now. And it's just so much more natural and so much healthier for me. And I've realized like that there are a lot of things that the world can wait on, you know?
For sure.
So that's been really good for me.
Maya inspires me so much with hobbies because, just to be flat out honest, I am not a hobbies girl.
Sorry. I shouldn't laugh. I don't know why. It makes me laugh.
When people, like, growing up, I don't know why. Why is that, like, such an icebreaker? It's like, what are your hobbies? I would be like, oh my gosh, can I say wake surfing? Like, I have no, like, what? I don't have hobbies. Yeah. I'm not a reader. I'm trying to read, but I'm not someone that's naturally inclined to just being crafty or artsy. Like I had so many friends growing up that would like sew and embroider and read and XYZ, and it's just not me.
That's why I love that we're having this conversation. Like I know there are people that were rolling their eyes while I was talking, and then some people were like, oh yeah, I feel that. And then now they're listening and they're like, oh my gosh, like I feel so affirmed in this moment. So that is the power of
this
different
is my
people.
Confession to the world. I'm not a hobbies girl, but I'm going to try to be, because I am realizing, my brother always says, I've mentioned this on a podcast before, I always say, oh, I just didn't have time to work out, or I didn't have time, whatever. He goes, no, you did have time. You're just not prioritizing it. And when I deeply reflect on my life and my daily decisions, I spend so much time on social media. Even in the mornings, I wake up, I sit in, I complain. I literally on my drive here today was like, oh, Lawson, I need to start getting up at 5:30 because I don't have enough time in the mornings. Well, what do I do when I wake up? I sit in my bed for 30 minutes scrolling. I do have time. I'm just not doing my time correctly. So all that to say, I'm not a hobbies girl, but it's something that I've realized I've made a lot of excuses of I don't have hobbies because I just don't have time. And we all are busy, but when I'm honest with myself, a lot of that time is spent on social media. And so even just a few weeks ago, I realized I've always in the back of my head, and I know this is so silly, but I've always had this secret dream to be a drummer. It is so bizarre. Like
I love it.
Ever since I got a car, I drive my car and music's playing and I'm like, like pretending I'm a drummer. And I probably don't do when other people are in the car. Maybe some people. But I feel like there's always been this like deep desire to be a drummer. And I'm not just going to buy a drum set. It would be something I need to put time towards. But I wouldn't mind because it would be really fun for me. Yeah. But I have to make the time. So all that to be said, I am in a position where I've never been a hobbies person, but Maya and this conversation have really convicted me, and God also, to just implement more hobbies into my life. And even with reading, like I always say, oh, I don't love reading, but but it's just because I never really I'm not going to love a book after 10 pages. And so if I don't give myself enough time to really get into it and be consistent, I'm never going to love reading. And so there's just different things that I've really felt challenged with over the last month, where I've been like, okay, I can make the time. I just need to take the step to actually implement these things. That time off the past month has also just been such a sweet time to just rest and to start a show and to literally lay on my couch and like to actually just lay there and cuddle with a blanket and pillows, and to not have my mind constantly spinning and going and all the things. Whereas in the past, I feel like in that time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't rest. I need to just pick up and without even thinking, I just pick up my phone and I think I'm resting going through social media. But what I'm really doing is filling my head with all of this stuff that in the end is really just the opposite of rest. And so I just want to add that rest is also such an amazing thing. And obviously we want to give tools to just help ourselves, but also you guys in the strides towards taking step off of social media. But we just also want to remind you that rest is such a good thing, and taking the time off will give you more time to truly rest. So inevitably we take the time off, but we will have to figure out how, and we're in this position, how can we be on social media and do it in a healthy way? Colossians 3 talks a lot about being in the world, but not of it. And so with anything that's in the world, social media is not a bad thing. It's just how can we cultivate and foster a good, healthy relationship with it? And it is possible. I feel like something that sometimes having these conversations can feel so like discouraging to me for some reason, because I'm like, oh, this is just it's just a lot. And social media is such a big part of all of our lives. I mean, it's how we've made relationships, how we get clients.
Income.
Like, it's such, if anyone understands that, it's us. It's such a big part of our lives. And so we just want to take the next couple minutes to really address how to practically have a healthier relationship with it. And I know you have a lot of good points on this. So
yeah, no, that's so good. And I really, it's kind of crazy. I don't know, when you were sitting there, I was like kind of getting like a flashback moment of just thinking when we first recorded this. And it really is so cool to see how in a month, how much healthier I feel. Like yes, like obviously not every single thought of comparison is gone or whatnot, but like I also feel like I've just become so much healthier with it that instead of seeing social media, I used to think of social media like, I didn't even realize that the past 2 months, I almost kind of, when I thought of that word, I thought like kind of instantly negative. And it's kind of cool because now that I have this like healthier relationship with it, I'm like, oh, like I see it more positively. Does that make sense? Where I'm actually able to see, oh wait, this can really be a gift that like God has given me, and like I enjoy it, and I don't feel so like strained or worried about what people are going to think, or just all these thoughts, because I've put these healthy boundaries. And so I love what you said about, you know, we're going to be getting back onto it, and like this conversation really is to help you put those healthy boundaries on it. So when you go back, it's like you are able to just be who you are and be able to still be walking in the callings of that the Lord's given you and the different purposes. So I just think that's so cool how I could truly sit here and say like in the past month, my relationship has gotten so much healthier. And so it makes me even more excited to share just kind of these tips. But yeah, I think what you said about, okay, now we are back on it, you know, having like a healthy relationship, like what does that look like daily? And I really kind of, you know, your own social media tendencies. Let me just tell you, you know your own social media tendencies. You know, if you see a reel or something, you know if you're running to the comments. If you see something controversial, you know if you're running to the comments, and you know why you're running to the comments. There's sometimes that I'd be running to comments like, oh shoot, this is gonna be bad, you know, and I just want to go and I'm like want to read it, and I'm like, oh, like just being so honest, you know, I'm like, let me see, I'm curious. And then there's other times where it's like, oh my gosh, that was so funny, like I want to see the other people's funny comments. Does that make sense? Where like we all kind of know while we're doing it. And I know this is like such a niche tip, but we are all really big about practicals. And something I learned about myself, and like something that I've changed in this past month. And I would honestly have good intentions of why I would run to the comments for something that was really controversial, especially about faith. I like will go on to those. I love the ability, of being able to kind of almost see both sides, like see that there is a gap between unbelievers and believers, and that there's like a bridge to be gapped. And sometimes I see those things as like almost like research of like, okay, like this is what an unbeliever's saying on this believer's post. You know, this is what their thought process is. And I don't think we're ever meant to not be aware of those things, because we're meant to, you know, be able to bring light into the darkness. But what I was noticing is I was becoming obsessive over those things. I was becoming obsessive over those comments. And I realized, because if I'm somebody who I'm sharing faith-based content, I started to think, well, if they're saying this about them, then they're saying this about me, you know? And I started to just kind of get really in my head with all the negativity of it. And so a big practical tip that I realized is not running to the comments. Like, that's so silly. But like, and if I am like actually going for like a research or like to understand something better, I think I put a better boundary. There's in Proverbs, it says like guard your heart. I think I've been more aware of like, okay, I can read this, but I'm also going to guard my heart to not let it in. I was reading things and I was just letting them in. Like I was reading them and I just wasn't really aware of, and then I'd kind of take it onto myself. Or even you see a video and somebody's calling someone fat and you're like, oh my gosh, she looks amazing. What do they think about me? You know, just all these different things where I think I wasn't guarding my heart enough. And so I think one of the ways I've done that is by just kind of watching how much I run to the comments. And I really haven't been doing it like as much, and like I still do it occasionally for different things. And in the moments that I do it out of an ill intent of like my own heart or like to see what's going on, that's when I literally have gotten to the point where I'm just like, okay, I'm like no, get off of it. Like I don't need to know the drama. I don't need to know the gossip. I don't need to know the tea, you know, like I just don't like, I don't need to know that. And so anyways, I feel like that's really helped me, just in all honesty, is just like stopping going to the comments. What about you?
It's so interesting you say that, because I've just never, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I've just never been someone that reads the comments
Yeah.
section. Everyone always talks
It's a gift.
Yeah. I literally, I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I just never, like, I don't think anyone ever sparked that in me young. So I didn't form that habit when I first got on social media.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I'm typically out of the loop of everything because I never go on to like read what's happening in the comment section.
Yeah.
But I will say that's not as much my struggle on social media as much as the amount of time I spend on it. And so that's my second tip is for me, like if I am on social media past 30 minutes, I am doing nothing. I'm not just catching up on people's lives. I am full-blown stalking. I am on the aunt's, grandma's, cousin's, child's Instagram at this point, and it's been 3 hours. So true. And I don't need to know what is happening 4 generations down on this family tree. But all that to say, that's a silly analogy, but I find that anything past 30 minutes for me is not just catching up and enjoying you know, the engagement post or whatever. Like social media is a great thing, and it is an amazing resource to be able to keep up with people's lives virtually.
Oh my gosh.
Like that, let me just say, that is the greatest gift, and I love social media for that reason. And I think anything beyond 30 minutes for me, and it might be different for you, is where I hit the line of comparison, where I'm just doom scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I get to the point where my mind has then crossed the threshold. I am now like fully embedded in the web of social media, and now I'm seeing posts in a different light, and I've almost like lost my like true identity in that, where like I'm like, okay, now I'm comparing to this post and this post and this post, whereas initially when I got on, I was still feeling, okay, I know who I am. This app isn't going to change the way I think about myself, but an hour in, I've kind of lost that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like it's almost like I trail from the health I had when I first got on the app. And hours in, I'm just not on it for the right reasons. And so that's my second point. It's just really be cautious of the amount of time you're on it. And even with us with work, I feel like it's always good for us to just take breaks throughout the day.
Yes.
Like 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to get off and go on a walk. And it just like resets your brain. And I think it brings us back to reality of, okay, I'm not living on a social media platform. I'm living in Santa Rosa Beach, and this is where my feet are, and these are the relationships around me.
Yeah, it's so good. It reminds me of when you said that nothing good happens past midnight. You know that thing that your parents used to say? It's like, you know, kind of just realizing that whenever you're out for too late or whatnot, it just leaves more susceptibility for things to just go wrong and for things to go bad. That's kind of what that reminds me of. But I love that. And I think that kind of leads me to my last little big thing I've realized with like having a healthier relationship with social media is the second that, you know, say I've gone on past midnight, you know, or whatever it is, and I've gone past my 30-minute threshold, and I'm no longer just checking up on people. You know, I'm starting to kind of have these, like, I'm like looking at different things or whatnot, and the second that I feel something where I'm like, this is not me just checking up on people or me laughing. Like, it's okay to get a good laugh. Like, people make hilarious content. Like, can we just talk about that?
And
like,
amazing.
It's like the memes are freaking hilarious. Like, I cannot handle it sometimes. I love the ones of
I have a
animals.
folder where I save my funny ones.
Like, it is fun, like, to, you know, get a good laugh from it. But the second I realize that it's doing anything other than like that, and I realize like, oh, I'm like comparing myself. I'm like, one of my big struggles is I have just struggled so much with my skin. And whenever I like am starting to compare like how my skin looks to somebody else or something like that, the second, like, especially, it's really easy for me to do more so on TikTok. I don't know why. Instagram I don't really care about that much. TikTok is where a lot of my comparison comes from. And I'll like see like somebody in the, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're in a video and their skin looks amazing, and I can't even like be that close up without just like not even wanting to watch the video. And as soon as I start to think that, I'm like, I'm off. Like, I really do. Like, I'm like, this is no longer good for me. I am meant to guard my heart. If I continue on this, I'm not guarding my heart. And so it's really just like as simple as that. And then I don't spiral. Like, I'm not like sitting in this, you know, just feeling or whatnot. I'm like, you know what? That's awesome for her. Like, that, I'm so happy. You know, God, you made me how I am. You made me with the acne that I have right now. And hopefully one day we'll get over it. You know, and that's not where my identity comes from. But if I keep on going, the same as you, I keep on with the, just my identity kind of will get pushed to the side. So I feel like that's something that's really helped me with kind of just managing that healthier relationship. And that kind of brings me to our last point on all of this. And I hope that this is such a good reminder. It is a daily decision. It is a daily decision. It's not like, okay, Blakely and I, you know, now that we've had this great month, like, okay, we're good, you know, see you later. It's a daily decision. And I think I would realize in this month, I'd be like, okay, I was so good yesterday with social media. Then you feel like, oh my gosh, I could binge today or whatnot. Or you're like, oh, since I was on it for like only 15 minutes, now I could be on it for like 2 hours. And I just realized, I was like, wait, this is like defeating the purpose, you know? And so I feel like that's something that I really realized is it's a daily decision. And I think people hear that and they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds exhausting. And it's actually not at all. Like, it is so much more freeing. As you're continuing to do that daily decision, it just becomes more natural, where it's that a point of where you're making those daily decisions, and then it just becomes a habit. Like, we have made all these daily decisions where we're at right now. If you are somebody who's really struggling with social media, we made all these daily decisions to now be habitually wanting to grab it and wanting to do these things. It's easy for you to grab it, isn't it? So if we start making these daily decisions to not grab it, it'll become habitual that we won't want to grab it. And then it'll become easy for us not to grab it. Like, changing our way of thinking and realizing that there is so much beauty in that daily decision. It doesn't mean that it's going to be like super hard or anything like that, but I feel like that's given me a lot of just peace, and also reminder as I'm going throughout my month. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to just binge because of I wasn't on it, you know, yesterday. And I feel like now that I've kind of recognized that, it's made it so much easier to make those daily decisions.
So good. And even just sitting here, I'll be completely honest, over the past month, I've had so many days where I've spent way too much time on social media. Even in this journey of trying to have a healthier relationship, you will have days where, you know, you spend way too much time on it. And that's just 100% the reality of what I've experienced. But I think in saying that, it's just like Maya said, a daily decision where the day after I do that, I don't need to just be like, oh, well, I already blew it. Like, might as well just keep spending all my time on social media and forget the hobbies and forget resting, and just, you know, give up on this goal to really implement better boundaries with it. It's been sweet to wake up and be like, okay, you know, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have taken those 4 hours and done something productive with them, or journaled, or spent time with God, or like called a long distance friend. But you know what? I can't go back and change it. So I'm going to decide today that I'm going to do better.
Yeah.
And there's so much grace for that. And so we just want to encourage you wherever you're at, whether you are like, honestly, I kind of feel like I have a pretty good relationship with this. Maybe one day that changes. And so we hope that these tips will be helpful for you. But if you are in a similar boat as we are, where you are really just understanding the addiction that you have, because like we said in episode 1, it really is an addiction we've created that we've become numb to, and we don't want to admit it because we've never seen social media as something that really can form. I know we say passingly like, oh, I'm addicted to social media. But we've really realized, okay, we actually have become addicted in so many ways. It's not normal to be sitting and just without even processing, grab your phone, without even processing, end up on Instagram. And like that just is not normal. So if you find yourself in a similar boat as us, we just pray that these conversations would just bless you and meet you exactly where you're at and continue giving yourself grace. The journey's not going to be perfect, but like any habit, I think it takes 30 something days to form a habit. Keep going, stick with it, understand social media is such a gift, but in its proper place in your life. We are so happy that you joined us today, and we can't wait to see you next time on Overflow the Podcast.
Bye, guys.